Hi, this is Sara Levin, the Artful Inker of theartfulinker.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and today you're joining us as part of the Global Stampin Video Hop, and our theme to work with was embossing. And I've created this fun autumn greetings card that I'm going to share with you today. So let me set that aside and we'll get to the creating. To start this card, we're going to use a piece of Whisper White, and I've got some scrap paper here, and my terracotta tile ink pad, and a stamping sponge, and I'm just going to blend on a kind of random background. And yes, you could use terracotta tile cardstock, but the color and texture of it just aren't the same as what happens when you blend on color. Trying to decide how much I'm going to cover here. And I do want the lighter edges. And let's turn this a little bit. And we're going to come in on this heavier here and then use the blended out color along the edges so that we just kind of take the white off. Okay, so we've got the heavier bands of color and then the slightly lighter. Now you do need to let that dry well before starting on to the next step, or that next step won't be successful. Okay, so next, if you have let this dry or you've used your heat tool to hurry it along, you're going to take one of the basic pattern masks from the Stampin' Up catalog and your Versamark pad and kind of just drag it on here so you get some but not all of the dots. Now to clean this, you can spritz it with a little stamp cleaner or some soap and water. And then we're going to open this up and sprinkle on some gold embossing powder. And then I will take this off and heat set it. Next, we're going to use the Autumn Greetings stamp set and create our next couple of pieces. So I've got some Whisper White here, and we're just going to ink the worry about inking the kind of central portion of this big focal stamp, and I'm using Pretty Peacock ink. And I just want a small part of this image for the card. So let's give it a good rub. Make sure you're getting good contact. It's a large stamp. And you may want to use your Stamparatus for this. I'm just going to flip it over and give it a rub in the areas that I know I want the image. Oops, and I messed up. So let's try this again. That usually works for me, that quick flip. So I'm just going to set it on here and do this and hope that my fingers aren't too inky when I'm done. Okay, much better. Okay, let's set that aside. And then I've got the small pumpkin. And we'll just put that up here. And then let's set this aside. And I've got this layer that I'm going to use for a background piece and the leaves, and we're just going to do an all over pattern with them. Make sure you're stamping in different places and turning them so that your pattern doesn't look too matchy-matchy. Stamp off the edges a little bit. Do just a little here and a little up here and come back there. Okay, and maybe another little something here. And we'll set this out of the way. Now I'm going to emboss this, and we're going to use scissors and fussy cut my flowers here. Now this little guy does have a die with the Autumn Essentials dies, but since it's just one small piece, I'm also going to use my scissors and just cut that out. So just turn your paper, not your scissors, and give this a quick cut. Cut away the excess. I'll be right back when I've done that, and we'll keep moving. Okay, so next we're going to take those pieces that we cut out and our Pretty Peacock ink and a water painter, and I want this to be just a little bit damp, and pick up just a little bit of ink and checking the amount here on my scrap paper, because I want to give this just a rough little swish over. We're not totally coloring them in. And the same thing with the flowers. You're trying not to get them saturated with water. You just want to give them a little bit of color. Okay, so let's move these over here to dry. Let's brush out my water painter, and then I've got a piece of Whisper White for the inside of my card, and I'm going to add the little pumpkin on the inside. Okay. Now, let's start and assemble. I've got a Pretty Peacock base, and this piece needs to go on the inside, and I'm using the multi-purpose glue. Let's make sure that's lined up nicely. Next, I've got this piece that we stamped, and then I've embossed it with the Ornate Floral 3D embossing folder and cut it with an Ornate Layers die. Let's see if you can see the texture. And then I'm going to add it with multi-purpose glue as well. And let's make sure that we've got this centered. And then we're going to add a piece of this Pretty Peacock scallop linen ribbon. So we're going to lay down a piece of tear-in tape across our layer here. I like tear-in tape for ribbon. Give it a little burnish with my bone folder and see if I can pop my nail under here. The Take Your Pick tool is a better choice for that. So we're just going to come in under here. Whoops. Maybe I need to burnish again. I seem to still be stuck to the backing layer. There we go. Okay, and let's lay down our ribbon. I've got an angle cut at one end, and then I'm going to cut just a little extra on this end because I want to tuck it so that it's got like a little tab on the finish. Let's add a little bit of tear and tape here to this piece so that it's going to adhere to the underside of the ribbon, and all the pieces will be stuck in place. Okay, so just tuck this under, and there you go. Doesn't matter that I'm a little squiggly there. My next layer will cover that up. So I've cut gold foil sheet with one of the ornate layer dies. And we're going to add some dimensionals. Oops. There we go. Let's bring this in and center it. And then I'm going to add dimensionals on the back of this. Now this piece was simply cut to the dimensionals of the inside of the ornate layers die that cut the gold foil. Okay, let's move this out of the way a little bit, clean up a little bit of our mess over here. Add our flowers with dimensionals. And then we're going to add the pumpkin over top. And then we need to add our sentiment. For the sentiment, we're going to use a piece of Pretty Peacock and one of the stamps from Autumn Greeting, and ink that in Versamark. And then let's bring in that scrap paper and sprinkle with white Stampin' Emboss powder. And my tip for heat embossing with white, particularly on, or any on a dark background, is to heat from behind so you're not blowing the little grains of embossing powder around. So I'm going to take this off camera and set it, and we'll be ready to roll. Okay, so we have our heat embossed sentiment here, and I've got some linen thread, and if you'll remember from the video that I shared earlier in the week for an Autumn Greetings card, I pulled apart the linen thread so that you get this great little I love the little random wavy curly bit of it, and we're just going to stick that down here with a mini glue dot. And here are my dimensionals. So I need a double stack of dimensionals out here on this end, and then I'm going to use multi-purpose glue on the other end. And let's just tuck this right in here. Adjust my linen thread bits here so that we see them. And then just adhere that in place. And there we have our autumn greetings card for today's Global Stampin Video Hop. You'll find the link to the next video in the description below. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and click the bell if you would like to receive notifications for my next videos. And have a great day. Thanks for stopping in. This was Sara Levin, the Artful Inker of theartfulinker.com. Bye.